Peace be unto you wherever you are in the world, and welcome to another tutorial. As we continue this series, today we are doing the basic skirt block. As usual, we start with the starting line, and then the one to the right is the center back. And these are the measurements I'll be using in today's tutorial. So from the starting line, I'm going to roll down the length of my skirt. So according to the measurements, the length of my skirt is 26 inches. So I'll measure from the starting line from the center back all the way to the center front. Connect all the marks to create the hemline and label it hemline. Onwards to creating the center front, and to do this you say hip divide by 2 plus 0.5. 0.5 inches is your ease. And here I roll down and create the center front. So now we have the center back and the center front. We are ready to create the side seams. Hip minus waist gives me 9.5, and from the table we see that it's 0.75 inches, that the back is bigger than the front. So we remove the 0.75, and then using the remaining part we create the side seam. So from the 0.75 mark I determine the midpoint from the center front to the 0.7 mark at the starting point, and this gives me the midpoint. So I'm going to roll this midpoint all the way down to create the side seams. So this happens because we know that the back, due to the presence of the buttocks, the back is obviously bigger than the front. They are not equal, so you have to determine this using the Lapery skirt table, which is what I used to get the 0.75. To create the yoke line, I go down 5 inches from the waistline or from the starting line, and then I also create the upper hip line, which means I'll go down 8 inches and create that all across the plane. This creates the upper yoke line, and to create the lower yoke line I go down by 10 inches. So if you're going to add any pockets to your skirts, the yoke line helps as a guideline for you to be able to have to start your pockets. The space between the upper and lower hip line helps so as to have a smooth curve at the hip area when you're drafting or when you're wearing your skirt. Make sure to always label all the lines so as to use them for future reference, and if you intend to use your patterns for future. To create the waist, you will need your waist measurement, divide by 4, and then plus the dart intake from the Lapery skirt table, which we get as 1.5 for the back. So starting from the center back, you will measure the 9.5 plus the dart intake, the 9 inches plus the dart intake of 1.5. Then you connect this to the upper hip line. Starting from the center front, you will go in the same 9 inches for the waist measurement, then plus 1.25, which is the front waist intake as per the table, and then you will connect this to the upper hip line. So for a good fit, you will need to go up by 0.5 inches on both side seams. That's the front and the back by 0.5 inches. And then you will create a waist curve. That will give you a really good fit at the waist. So we're going to create a waist. Instead of using the straight line, we're actually going to create a waist curve. At the center back, you're going to go up by 0.25 inches and then connect this to the point created at the seam line. While you're doing this, make sure to use the curved part of your ruler. That's using a curved ruler, so you curve it inwards, giving it a slight curve at the waist, and this will be your back waist. Once you're done with the back, it's time for the front, and for the front you have to introduce the center front lowering, which is 1.5 according to the Lapery table. So you lower by 1.5. This will give you a really good fit at the front, and you attach this with the same curve, so make sure you use a curved ruler. Curve it towards the front. Once the waist is created, it's now time to input the dots. So go in from the waist 4.5 inches. Now you can use your nipple to nipple measurement as well. And for the back, go down 6 inches. The back dot is always around 6 inches, so go down 6 inches. And then using your dot measurement, your dot intake measurement, divide this by 2 to create the dart legs for the front. As you see here, I'm going to use a dart intake, which was 1.5. I usually find it easier to just use the tape and fold the measurement into 2. Then once I use the half, put on one side, label, mark on one side, and then mark on the other side. This gives for a more accurate input of the marks. And then I will connect to create the dot. To create the front, I will do the same. The front dot, I will do the same. I will just go in by 4.5, which is actually my nipple to nipple measurement, as well as the center of the waistline. And then for the front dot is usually 5 inches, 4 to 5 inches. I chose to go with 5. And this dot, because the waist is slightly slanted, you will also slant the dot. And the dot intake for the front is 1.25. So using the tape, fold it at the 1.25, and then the half measurement of the 1.25, you mark it on the opposite sides of the dot line, and then connect to create the dot. There you have it, the waist is created. So for this is the curved waist part is to use on creating the skirts, and for the straight part you use it when you're attaching it to any bodice, like if you're going to create a dress or anything that has a top. So to give a really crisp finish, we're going to input the fitting lines. The fitting lines help you have a really good, so that your skirt can fit like a glove. So for this, first of all, to avoid the back budge, in case you're going to attach it to a bodice, you need to create you're going to come in at the waist by 0.5 and attach it to the yoke line, as you see me do here. And then at the bottom, by the center front, you will come in by 1 inch and attach this to the upper hip line. And then at the side seam, you're going to come in by 1 inch on both sides, both the front and the back blocks, and attach both of them to the lower hip line. And this will give you a really beautiful finish for a skirt, more like a pencil effect if you ask me. At this point, the skirt is basically done. You can use this block to create other skirts and alter it for as many things as you need to create out of it. This is your basic block. All done, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.